Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport today. And by Energy Sage. Plan your energy independence and insulate yourself from rising energy costs. And by you. Stick around to find out how you can help us remain 100% independent. Welcome back to another episode of TEN Transport Evolved News. Thanks for joining me. Before I delve into today's show, I want to acknowledge that this news cycle is a bit of a shit show right now in the EV world, and that means lots of today's show will delve into politics, and yeah, it might be super tough going. I don't want to sugarcoat this. Politics matter, and those who say it doesn't come from a place of privilege they're not willing to acknowledge. So please, don't blame us for covering political stories that are relevant to the EV world. And we start today's show with one such story, namely that the US government has officially published plans to slash fuel economy standards for cars and light-duty trucks. Standing with the CEOs of Ford and Stellantis, President Trump ripped into previous standards set by President Biden, calling them illegal and blaming them for the high cost of cars, even though I, and many watching, will blame unwanted in-car tech for the same. Slashing nearly a third of the 2031 target of 50.4 miles per gallon, the new targets are 34.5 miles per gallon, less than automakers actually managed fleet-wide last year. We're already seeing automakers push away from EVs towards heavily polluting engines like V8s, even when their respective portfolios include more efficient, cheaper engines and drivetrains. And that only signals bad things ahead for everyone. But maybe there is just a little bit of hope for one thing. Japanese Kei Cars. President Trump says he wants them to be allowed in the US after seeing them on his recent trip to Japan. And given that we are now ruled by presidential whims in the US, well, yeah. That presidential whim and continued attacks on EVs has seen what all of us predicted would come to pass, a meteoric drop in EV sales during November. Ford, which has indefinitely paused all F-150 Lightning production, reported a 60.8% drop in EV sales during November, replaced by a surge in gas-guzzling SUV sales. Meanwhile, Honda's Prologue EV sales dropped 86%, despite large cash-on-hood incentives for buyers. At the time of filming, GM hasn't published its November figures, but they are expected to not be good. Hyundai and Kia also had a terrible November for EVs, with sales drops of more than one half for both brands. Meanwhile, pretty much every automaker recorded increases in hybrid sales. We are off to the UK now, where in addition to trying to legally erase and ban people like me from actually existing outside of their homes, the UK government is doing its best to mimic the US of A. Its just released budget confirmed that while the government will be extending EV incentives until 2030, it also wants to tax EV and plug-in hybrid owners 3 pence per mile driven. Granted, the budget does include commitments to address the cost of EV charging and commitments to work on making it easier to install charging for people without off-street parking. But the data from November sales is already very dour. While EV sales in the UK in November were up 1.5% on the same period last year, with EVs now accounting for 26.4% of the new car market, the growth rate of EV adoption is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Luckily, though, not every country in the world is making EVs the problem, and in Norway we've got further demonstration of how amazing EV incentives can be to adoption rates. This week, figures from November show that EVs accounted for more than 97.6% of all new vehicles registered in the country. But thanks to a rise in competitive pricing deals, Norway set new records for car registrations for the year, with just shy of 20,000 vehicles hitting the roads. That's nearly double the number of cars sold in October. And while the Norwegian government has toyed with the idea of rolling back its VAT exemption on EVs from 2027, a compromise reached this week will keep VAT exemption for EVs until 2028, with a new user limit of 150,000 kroner in 2027, half of what it will be next year. As some governments around the world sour on an all-electric future, we're starting to see automakers take advantage of the situation and push back plans to go all-electric. This week, reporting from Bloomberg suggests BMW, which has maintained it wants an electrified future, is now considering reintroducing its range-extended EV architecture for future models. The report claims that BMW is examining the reintroduction of REX, range-extending engines, for its X5 and 7 Series models in China. It's worth noting that the reporting is referring to engines connected to a generator that will provide electricity to an EV drivetrain when the car's batteries are empty, rather than traditional plug-in hybrid setups where the engine can drive the wheels mechanically in certain situations. BMW has not refuted nor confirmed the reporting, stating that it is constantly refining its plans based on customer and market trends. Aptera has officially published its newest video update this week, showing its validation vehicle assembly line for the first time. The company, which is working to bring its three-wheeled solar electric vehicle to market, is still very much using a pretty manual production process at this time. But what makes this line different from what went before is the extensive use of specialised assembly jigs to speed up component installation onto the pre-assembled bodies, complete with battery packs that Aptera's battery partner CTNS is now building on site. This is the first time CTNS has built battery modules at Aptera's facility, which lowers build costs and lead times. With validation assembly underway, the company says it's continuing its final testing apace and says that its combined cycle testing, that's high speed, stop and go, and urban, are, quote, encouraging. It's hoping to engage in final regulatory testing very soon. Watch this space. Hyundai's EV sales may have taken a hit last month in the US, but that hasn't stopped its luxury arm Genesis from showing off its newest, highest performance EV yet, the GV60 Magma. Revealed in France this week, the model is a new upper-end variant of the GV60, with redesigned front body components and an all-wheel drive system that rockets from 0 to 200 km per hour, that's 0 to 125 miles per hour, in 10.9 seconds. A head-up display is standard, and the seats are wrapped in a suede-like material called chamois. Official range figures for most markets aren't out yet, but this is clearly a car built to go fast and think about range second. For the curious, it somehow keeps the mighty orb, because it wouldn't be a GV60 without it. Genesis also revealed its newest concept, the Magma GT, hinting at the brand's future direction. While some markets have yet to experience BYD EVs thanks to protectionist policies wrapped up as cybersecurity concerns, BYD has just celebrated a new milestone for the BYD Dolphin, 1 million global sales. On sale in its home market since 2021 and welcome to Europe in 2023, the Dolphin EV, not to be confused with its smaller sibling, the Seagull or Dolphin Surf in Europe, celebrated its half-millionth model late in 2023 after 25 months in production, and the 1 millionth model hasn't taken a long time to arrive after. With a choice of 45.12 kilowatt-hour or 60.48 kilowatt-hour battery packs, the Dolphin holds its own in the already crowded C-segment in Europe, fighting off far more established brands like Peugeot, Citroën and Renault in the EV space. Over the past few years, we've seen plenty of developments made in the sector of wireless inductive charging for EVs, both in the passenger car and light-duty segments. This week, however, researchers at Purdue University carried out the first successful real-world dynamic test of a high-power inductive charging system fitted to a Class 8 electric big rig on a quarter-mile stretch of US Highway 52 and US Highway 231 in West Lafayette, Indiana. Using a specially modified electric tractor built by Cummins, the system successfully transmitted 190 kilowatts from the road to the truck while it was travelling along at 65 miles per hour, or about 104 kilometres per hour. While the press release doesn't go into the details, my back-of-the-napkin calculations suggest that's more than enough to cover all, or at least a significant portion, of the energy requirements for a fully loaded Class 8 big rig, if this system were extended over a meaningful distance. And finally for this segment, some good news. While the US White House continues its war on renewables, data from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission shows that renewables are still ascendant in the energy generation landscape. In its latest report, published this week, it shows that of the new generation capacity added to the US electrical grid from January through until the end of September, an astonishing 88% came from renewables. In fact, for 25 months straight, solar has dominated new generation capacity, And I should note here that FERC only tracks grid-scale solar, not domestic solar. Today, nearly 1/3 of all US electricity generation comes from grid-scale renewable projects, with domestic solar pushing it well over that figure. If things continue, solar will become the second largest source of US electrical grid generation, second only to natural gas. And if you're in the US and you want to lower your reliance on imported energy or grid power, it's probably time to talk to our friends at EnergySage. EnergySage connects you with local verified solar installers across the US and now heat pump specialists in select markets who really know their stuff and can help guide you through the process of installing solar panels or getting a heat pump installed. Not a homeowner? No worries. EnergySage can still help you green your electricity by helping you join a community solar program. We used EnergySage for ourselves when looking for installers willing to put solar panels on our roof, and their verified pros are knowledgeable and even introduced us to a fantastic credit union to finance the project with low monthly payments. While the US federal tax incentives for solar end at the end of this year, you may still be able to squeeze in an install before the big ball drops on January 1st, so act now if you've been putting it off. Follow the links below to sign up for either of EnergySage's free, no-obligation services and get the ball rolling today. And if you choose an EnergySage installer, we'll also receive a small referral fee, so you'll be helping us too. Help the grid get greener, save money, gain energy independence, and support this channel? It's a win-win, win-win. We are off to recall reminders now, and as a reminder, full details of these are available on our website if these affect you. Ford is recalling certain Escape and Lincoln Corsair plug-in hybrids to address a potential short-circuit condition in affected cars' battery packs. Owners are being asked to only use auto EV mode. BYD is recalling around 90,000 Qin Plus DM-i plug-in hybrids in China to address potential battery issues causing what it says are performance limitations. And finally, for the recalls, Hyundai is recalling certain 2025 Ioniq 5 EVs after noting that the seatbelt retractors for the front seats may not be securely fastened. A recall campaign will begin in January. And those are your recall reminders. Now it's time for our news shorts. As always, full links to all of the stories covered are on our website. There's a link for the relevant post on this episode's description. Lotus has confirmed that it will be debuting its first plug-in hybrid car next year. The company had originally promised to go fully electric, but the new announcement of a plug-in hybrid changes that. The Canadian government has announced more than $10 million Canadian dollars of funding to help accelerate EV adoption across the nation. It includes $9 million for EV infrastructure, plus more than $1.4 million to electric motor research. MAN Truck and Bus is working with logistics service partner Vega International to use all-electric MAN trucks to deliver other all-electric MAN trucks. It's both advertising and emissions lowering. BYD has just celebrated its best sales figures for the year, selling just shy of 500,000 EVs during November. However, its sales figures are down a little on the same period last year. Audi is tweaking 5 of its models for the new year, including the A6 e-tron and Q6 e-tron. New improvements include promised efficiency, although Audi has not shared official figures. A 2024 lawsuit filed by Einride against AP Moller-Maersk has become public. While the case is ongoing, both sides give a different version of events revolving around an electric truck service in the US. Mercedes-Benz has officially published US pricing for its all-new CLA EV. Starting from $47,250 it will cross-shop against many models including the Mustang Mach-E and Tesla Model 3. CATL, working with Autoflight, has unveiled a new zero-carbon water Vertiport designed to integrate sea and air travel. There's no confirmed location for the commercial installation, but a waterside demo did take place in China. The French government has confirmed that it will be extending its EV purchase incentive programs through next year. The incentives are focused on lower-income citizens seeking to go all-electric. Mining company BHP has welcomed the first 2 purpose-built battery electric locomotives to its Australian rail fleet. Built by Wabtec, the units are fully electric and will work in Western Australia. Hyundai is officially expanding its V2X services around the world, aiming to facilitate the adoption of V2X and V2G services for all Hyundai, Kia and Genesis EV owners. It will include expanded smart charging and V2G capabilities in Europe and V2G services in the US. Motor specialist YASA has just celebrated building its 50,000 axial flux motor. The UK firm supplies high-performance motors to many hypercar manufacturers for use in hybrids and EVs. Ford Europe is boosting the battery capacity of its passenger-carrying e-Tornado Custom for the new model year, with a new 70 kWh battery pack, up 6 kWh on last year's model. BYD has announced that it's expanding its battery warranty in Norway to 8 years or 250,000 kilometres. It previously offered 200,000 kilometre warranties. A class action lawsuit is gaining traction against Tesla over bricked Powerwalls that were intentionally drained by Tesla as part of an ongoing safety recall. Claimants say Tesla left them with wall decorations. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles has announced that its ID. Buzz cargo will come in a long wheelbase option in European markets for the first time, along with a larger 86 kWh battery pack. Solaris Bus has announced a new programme designed to allow fleet operators of older Solaris buses the ability to upgrade their battery packs to the latest generation. Some of Solaris's electric buses are now more than a decade old. The US Department of Transportation has just unveiled more than $2 billion in grant funding to modernise bus fleets in the US, but not a single dime is going to be awarded for battery electric buses. CATL made a bold prediction this week that within 3 years it will have electric boat battery packs that are powerful enough to allow electric ocean-going boats capable of cross-ocean travel. Piaggio has debuted its Porter NPE, an all-electric version of its already in-production micro-truck. The four-wheeler is designed for work duties in tight spaces and emission-controlled zones. YASA has confirmed that it's working on an in-wheel drive system for electric vehicles that makes use of its 12.7 kilo axial flux motor. YASA is owned by Mercedes-Benz and its motors featured in the AMG Concept GT XX. Denmark's just published sales figures for November shows that 3/4 of all new cars registered in the nation were all electric last month. The most popular model was the Skoda Elroq. Despite the best efforts of the White House to cancel the deployment of electric mail trucks, the US Postal Service has confirmed it's already welcomed 8,500 EVs to its fleet. Archer Aviation has announced that it will be working with related Ross and Magic City Innovation District to establish an air taxi network in Miami, Florida. It will serve multiple tourist locations. The designer behind the controversial Jaguar Type 00 electric concept is apparently no longer at the firm. As reported online this week, the executive was allegedly fired and escorted out of the office. After a troubling few months, EV company Bollinger Motors is no more. Originally intended to bring a rugged off-roader to market, its transition to a commercial truck company didn't go so well. Morris Commercial Limited has announced that it's chosen a facility in Wales to be the site of its all-electric J-type EV, the Morris JE. It's styled on the classic Morris commercial vehicle of the 1950s. Toyota has announced a series of strategic partnerships in Europe that it hopes will enable it to offer customers smart grid and V2G services in Europe. Details are a little sparse right now, but watch this space. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Polymer Research, along with Japanese partners, have mapped space-charged particle layers in solid-state batteries, offering insights that could help make higher-performance, denser cells. Hyundai held a topping-out ceremony this week at its new Future Mobility battery campus in South Korea. The facility is planned to be operational by the end of next year and help the firm develop new EV battery cells. The German coalition government has agreed on a new proposal to counter the EU's 2035 zero-emission vehicle requirements. It wants the EU to permit high-efficiency ICE models alongside EVs. It will submit its proposals to the EU for discussion later this month. The UK Department for Transport has clarified rules on commercial electric vans to exempt them from the weight restrictions that would otherwise mean that they would be classified as heavy goods vehicles, which in turn would require different driving licenses to operate them. Stellantis, working with CATL, has officially started construction of a new LFP battery production facility in Spain. CATL has sent 2,000 workers to the region to support construction. Gridserve and Extra service station chain in the UK have announced an expansion of EV charging along UK motorways. The new EV super hubs will offer expanded EV charging options. German electric scooter company Govex has filed for insolvency. Its 50cc equivalent electric scooter is inspired by East German two-strokes from before the wall fell, but its future now remains uncertain. Sales data from India has confirmed that the nation has set a record for EV sales this year, selling its 2 millionth EV in a single year with one full calendar month left before the end of the year. Fiat has made some slight tweaks to the all-electric Grande Panda in the UK. There's a new pop trim offering functional but basic EV motoring for those on a tighter budget. Sticking with the UK, with Omoda and Jaecoo EVs not eligible for EV tax incentives in the country, both brands, owned by Chery, have announced their own incentive programme in the form of in-house rebates. And finally, for the news shorts, the UK Post Office is welcoming 8 new all-electric heavy goods vehicles to its fleet, further electrifying the nation's postal service. And those are your news shorts. There will be more next week. Our final 2 stories are next, but first, a word from you. For over 15 years, 10 in the US, I and the Transport Evolved team have been bringing you news on cleaner, greener, safer, smarter and more equitable transport and energy. We're not backed by corporations and we don't have huge production budgets. Our tiny team, 3 full-time and 1 part-time member, work hard every week to bring you well-researched, honest content. When we started, YouTube ad revenue paid all our bills. These days, though, like most independent creators, ad revenue has dropped sharply. Worse, YouTube often sidelines diverse voices, overlooks minority creators, and prioritises clickbait and AI fluff over real researched content. And these days, we wouldn't exist without your support at patreon.com/Transport Evolved. Now, I hate doing this segment, but here it is. Just this week, a $4,200 annual errors and emissions insurance bill arrived. Even though that is yearly, it hits like a monthly expense, on top of team salaries, health insurance, retirement plans, and keeping the lights on. Health insurance alone has gone up 40% this year, and we are covering it. We keep a tight rein on our finances and we do have buffers, but right now we are treading water rather than growing, which is what we want to do, and costs keep going up. I even fund part of the channel from my partner's income, and that's not really sustainable. And in a world that was ideal, I wouldn't have to ask for your support, but here we are. It's better than putting everything behind a paywall, which I am most certainly and vehemently against, because information should be accessible to everyone. To keep producing videos and to keep this channel alive, we need a boost in income. Even $1,000 boost a month, less than 10% of what it costs to run this channel, which in of itself is about 10% of the budget of much larger, more expensive channels, would make a huge difference, and it would let me sleep easier at night. Even a single dollar helps. We've added new Patreon tiers for every budget, so if you're already supporting us, thank you. And if you're considering it, please check out our Patreon website. It really does keep the show alive. And now it's time for those last 2 stories, both of them today from the UK. Apparently, Brits like tea. A lot. And as someone who is part British, I can attest that yes, I do like a good cuppa to keep me going in the afternoon. Although in the morning I am all about coffee. Sorry. But this week, Stellantis brand Vauxhall, which is basically the UK twin to Opel, took its UK roots and ran with it, announcing its new Electrici-tea van. Yeah, it's a very obvious pun on electricity and consists of a Vauxhall Vivaro electric van that features a fully fitted out kitchen behind its central sliding door. The company cites lots of research stating that most tradespeople say they'd prefer to stop and have a cup of tea in the afternoon that they themselves had made, and so it decided to make this advertising campaign and prototype vehicle around it. Now, I'll grant you, it's a neat, fun little concept, complete with sink, coffee, tea, fresh milk, and even some chocolate digestives, or maybe they're chocolate hobnobs to dump in your coffee. But there is one flaw. I don't know a single tradesperson anywhere in the world with a van, electric or otherwise, that has room inside the rear for all of their gear and a fully fitted kitchen. Frankly, a smarter option would have been an electric kettle plugged into an onboard V2L system, and everybody would have room for that. And finally, if you are an EV driver and you have any experience of public charging, you might know that when you plug into a fast charger, the cable is locked into position by your car for your and its safety. And when the charging session ends, the cable is supposed to release. But sometimes, if the charging session fails or there's an error in the vehicle, the lock doesn't release, causing panic and frustration. Most EVs today come with a hidden release cable that allow you to safely disconnect. But also, most owners don't know about it. And apparently that's led many people in the UK to call 999, which is the UK equivalent of 911, for assistance. This week, it got so bad, the London Metropolitan Police got so fed up with calls from EV owners asking for assistance that it had to issue a public statement reminding people that having your car stuck on a charging station is and never should be an emergency services call. Sure, if there's a fire, that's different, but my advice is to learn where your EV's emergency release cable is. Most, but not all of them, have them, and they'll be in your owner's manual. I don't want to say RTFM, but yeah. And on that note, we're done with today's show. But first, a massive thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring the show. The EVA has been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967 and remains firmly committed to a cleaner, greener future for everyone. Join the EVA today to find out how to become an EV educator, how to meet like-minded fans, and how to get help to make your own transition to electric. Help that can include a low-interest loan programme to help finance your next step. So find out more at myeva.org. And thanks to Energy Sage. Follow the link below to plan your own energy-independent future before those tax credits disappear. And thanks to you. If you can, please consider supporting us from just $1.50 a month on Patreon. As I mentioned earlier, running a small YouTube channel like this isn't cheap, and without your support, we would not exist. So please do consider supporting us if you're able. And also, I want to remind you that supporting us can also include sharing our content, joining our Discord chat room, promoting us on social media, or using our affiliate links. All of those are linked in the down below. And for those looking to make one-off donations to us, don't forget we have a PO box and a Ko-fi, both of which are great ways to make one-off payments. We publish every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on the main channel, and every Sunday we drop 2 videos on Transport Evolved Take 2. And to finish today, some important words. You are valid, you are loved, you belong, and you have a purpose. This week has seen more marginalisation, more hate and more othering of people in our lives and our communities, both in the US and around the world. More bans, more threatened deportations, and worse. And I want to remind you that while the person in charge doesn't always represent a nation or even the majority of people in it, it can be hard to want to carry on carrying on. But in order to change history for the better, we need resistance and intentionality. Engage in tactical frivolity. Don't surrender to fear, hate or misinformation. And that is as true here in Portland, Oregon, as it is anywhere in the world that power and greed seek to crush the will of ordinary people. Don't buy in to division and cruelty. Don't watch AI craft. Empathy is a skill we must practice daily to preserve our shared humanity. And just like humour, it's an act of radical resistance. But also, remember everyone needs time out. Remember to unplug, get outside, dive into a good book, go gardening or do a run, or whatever makes you feel alive and recharge. Care for yourself and your loved ones today so that you can return tomorrow ready to fight for decency, community, justice and a better world. Let your light shine in or outside of an inflatable frog costume. Wherever you are, whoever you love, you are not alone. You are not a bad person. Be an ally. Be kind. Be the positive change you want to see. Don't let hate or ignorance win. And as always, keep evolving.